1994, Briar Bayou, Texas. A large, white old house, hiding a dark secret beneath its foundation. When night falls, the lights go out, red eyes watching from the glass, a man's whisper in the shadows, doors opening and closing on their own, as if the house doesn't belong to the living. Something is still there, and it's watching. Now, let's hear this dark story, as told by Arianna, the one who lived it.
My aunt and uncle had gone out of town. Me and my grandparents were watching over the house, going to feed the animals. My aunt and uncle had clearly said that they were leaving food out and everything would be there. So I went with them and we get there and I go inside and we can't find any dog food or cat food, which is strange because they said that it was there. And there wasn't any. We looked all over the house, none of it. And they asked me if they wanted me to go with them to the store to go grab some food. I said no because I was 14 years old, so I wanted to sit there and talk on the phone to whoever in the kitchen rather than go with your grandparents to the store. So I go into the kitchen and get on the phone and then they leave. It's raining outside and it's dreary and the house is like super creepy. It's very large. It's like a 5-bedroom house, and you go, like, when you drive up, there's like this big, long, like almost like a circle that you can drive through, and there's gates on both sides, and you go in one, and then there's the house on your right, and then you go out another gate. And they have a big garage with a house above the garage, and then they have their own house, and it has 4 big pillars that hold up the house, and it's white. I'm in the house and it's just like really large, and like you walk in and there's like a staircase that goes like directly up, like a little bit to the right up, and then there's a room to the left and a room in front and a room on the other side and then a TV room. And I'm on the phone and my grandparents are like, hey, we're leaving, and then they leave. So I'm just talking, and like I said, it was raining and it was just thundering, and then boom, like all the lights went out, and I was like, oh my god, what's happening? And so I started freaking out because I started thinking about everything. And then I'm like, hello, are you there? So I'm on the phone and then the phone is dead and I just can't hear anything. So I'm like hitting there and I'm taking on the little yellow phone and I'm just like, come on. And nothing happens. And then I hear, Arianna. And I was like, what is that? So I lose the phone and it was just dead. And then out of nowhere, I just hear like really quietly. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I like hung up the phone and freaked out, rightfully, and then I was like, okay, everything will be okay, I'm fine. And then I like go through their swinging door through the kitchen, and I go out and I start to go towards the front door, and you can see the lights and everything, and then you see the big door, like the glass door and everything, and they have like big lights out there. And so all the lights are up, but then whenever I go out like from the kitchen and I go out and I can see the door, like I can see all the outside lights, like the porch lights are off. So that makes no sense, like why the lights in the house are off. Then I start to try to get out and open the door, and the door will not open, like at all. And I can see that it's clearly, okay, so I unlock it and then it still will not open. And then I hear like this baby crying from up at the top of the stairs. And I turn around and I was like, what the hell? And then I hear like this man, shh, be quiet, she'll hear us. And then I look out like through the door, and then I see my grandparents come up to the gate, and you always have to unlock it before they like open the gate. And as soon as they unlock it, the lights came on in the house, and then the door, I could open it. I was like, what the hell? Like, what happened? Then, like, I open the door, and then they come, and then I'm like, oh my God, I run outside, like, in the rain, and I'm just like, oh my God, this happened, and they were just like, oh, yeah, stories like that all the time, you should hear your mother's, and I was like, what? I know, but, like, I didn't think that real. I always get a creepy feeling about this place, but not like this. So after all of this happened, and, like, I get back, and we go back into the house. I was all shooken up, and my grandparents were trying to comfort me, and just so I calmed down, and then I'm like, oh, I should probably go call my friend back and let him know, what happened. It was crazy. So I called him, and he's like, oh, what are you talking about, Arianna? Like, we ended our conversation. Like, we talked, like, you said goodbye. I was like, no, I couldn't even hear you. And then someone said my name on the phone. Did you say my name? And he's, no, I said bye. I just told you goodbye. He said that we had talked about someone at school and everything. We had a whole conversation. Super weird. Like, I still know him to this day, and every once in a while we'll talk about it. He's like, I don't know. I was like, it was you. I was like, it was not me. That stuff happened. Ask my grandparent. The place felt heavy. Always felt like a presence. Whenever you walk in, like, to the house, there's the stairs, like you said, and then you go off to the right, and they have a big sunroom. And then their big bedroom, the master bedroom, was in there, and then they had another room that was like a nursery, kind of, where my cousin had her room or whatever, and she was born. And that sunroom had like a couch. It happened at least 2 or 3 times when I spent the night there, and because there was like the wall that went up the stairs, and so I was like on the other side of the wall. And like I would be sleeping, and like I'd wake up and I'd see something like just like around the corner, and then it would just move back. Rice University is like a big university in Texas, and they came and they tried to buy the house from them because they wanted to bulldoze like the house down because it was built on an Indian burial ground, and they wanted to dig up for artifacts and study it. I was like, oh, okay. Right, yeah. So that made me wonder if maybe they knew that I was Native American because I'm half, because my dad's full. And I was like, that's strange, but how would they know that? Like, it's just, I don't know. And they had, and my aunt and uncle, they had all these like pictures of natives like in the house, like by the front door. I was always like, just that. But I don't know. It was interesting. My cousin, when she was little, she used to be in like her crib, and she would cry to my aunt that there was like something popping in the glass, and she didn't know why. And then she said that something was outside of her like window with red eyes, and she would scream, and she was little. Then my uncle said that he went in there, and he's very, no, this is not real. This isn't real. And he went in there, and he was like, what are you crying about, blah, blah. And he said that he turned around and he saw like this dog-looking pig thing, and it had like red glowing eyes, and it was like looking through the glass, and that tapping on the glass that she was hearing was like these tusks that were like hitting the glass like with his face. And like he said that he went down to look at it, and then it was gone. The property that had all like land behind there, like Briar Bayou, so there's a bayou behind it. My mom ended up helping take care of my aunt for a while, and she went and she moved into that little house that was above the garage that I said about, and she was like staying in there. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So anytime I had to go see her, I had to go over there. I was like, and one day I was like there with my brother, and we were all hanging out, me, him, and his girlfriend, and we were just like, I think we were drinking, just talking outside, just doing our thing. And like his girlfriend like turned around, and she's like, oh my God. We were like, what's wrong with you? She said, you see that lady? And she's just like, this girl, this looked like, she just looked pale. I was like, are you okay? What's wrong? And she just looked like scared. And I turned around, and then we all looked, and we're like, oh. And there's like this woman, and she's in this period piece, like real beautiful, like a bonnet and like this like real pretty period piece like outfit. She was like way out there by the gates where you come in, and she was just walking around, and it was really strange. But she had this like thing with her. It was like a scarf, but it was like red, and it was just very strange. Like, when she was just there, and we were like, what is that? And it was just like a trip. It was me and a friend, two friends, and like I had told them about the place, and they were all like, let's go. So I was like, oh, God, okay, let's go. So we all get in my van. I was driving an Astro van for for high school. I was like, yeah, 18. So we're like, we're driving in my big van, and so we get our camcorder that's like this big, and we're all like, okay, we're gonna go ghost hunting. And mind you, my aunt and uncle had the house on the market, so they weren't living there. They moved to River Oaks, this other place. So the house was vacant. So we're like, okay, we're gonna go. And I was like, let's go in, let's check it out. I'll show you everything. So we like drive in there, and then we're just sitting in the car and we're like, all right, we're all like excited. And then we're getting everything ready, and like JD, this guy, he turns around and he's, oh, what? Why are the lights on like above the garage? I was like, oh, that's weird. I was like, there's no power in the house. There's not supposed to be. I was like, I don't think so. So we just keep getting our stuff and we start walking towards there. And then the blinds open. And we were like, oh, but you don't see a shadow like against the door, just the blinds open. And then we like stopped, and then you see a shadow walk by. And they're both like, I don't know if we should go in there. Like maybe some people are squatting or staying in there or something like that. So we should probably be safe. And we're just like, yeah, okay, let's turn around. Let's not mess with this. So we turn around and we start going. And we're still like recording. So recording all this stuff. And then we start messing around with the camera and they like show me, and I'm like talking. I was talking about something else, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And there's stuff like behind me. I'm just like, blah, 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 and like the house is behind me. And so we're just talking, and then I go around and go to the front of the van, and then I get in the car, and then my friend like had the camera and he put it on me like there. So later we're viewing like the footage of what we caught on camera. And as I'm talking, like later, like you can see stuff like behind me, like in the video, like in the garage apartment, like up there. So I was like, you can see like a shadow standing in front of just like the blinds. And then the lights like were going off and on, but I didn't know because like no one was paying attention because they had a camera and the other one was doing something else, and that was it. Whenever I walked around, like you see something walk behind me, and it like walks all the way like with me. And then when he put the camera on my face, you can't see me. It's just this big light. Just boom, just light. And then I don't know where you can see my face. And I was like, what? And that was it. Like just weird stuff like that. There's something definitely there. I called them. I was like, is everything okay? I think someone might be in the garage. And they were like, oh no, there's no power. I turned it off 3 weeks ago. I was like, oh, someone still might be in there with a candle or a light or something. And then they were like, no, like everything's dead bolted. Like we went and checked there today. So my mother was going to see my aunt and uncle one day just to go visit them. And I think my cousin had just been born. Oh, she had just been born because my mom was going over there to go help take care of her. That's what it was. And then my aunt and uncle go out on a date, and they're doing their thing. So they leave and everything's all right. My mom always hated this house, period. She's a very spiritual person. She's always been very in tune. Like she's practiced a lot of religions. So she was a Wiccan. She was into Egyptology. She was into a lot of astrology. She was into like everything, all sorts of stuff, like Christianity, Judaism, like just everything. But she said that she felt like this weird presence, but she didn't really understand what was happening. But she said that it was bad. And she said she went out to go get something to like bless the house. And since my father's Native American, she learned like a lot of stuff from their side of the family. She was like blessing the house with everything and with a sage. And she said that then like the sage, like someone grabbed her by the wrist and just threw her arm and it dropped like on the ground. She continues to try to do her thing, like her blessings. And then she said that she turned around and she saw my aunt and uncle were Catholics. So they have like a bunch of crucifixes like on the wall. And so she said that when she was there, she saw like the crucifix turn upside down, like invert. And then she said it flew across the wall and hit her like on her shoulder. And when it hit her shoulder, it burned like her skin. And she had a scar for like ever. It was nuts. When it happened, she said that she like freaked out and she heard a noise from a voice of a man from the top of the stairs, just like I did. And the man, he told her to get out of the house. Like, you're not welcome. Like, you're not our kind. Just you too. She turned around and she told it to go away and to get out in the name of Jesus. And like, she thought that she could do that. That didn't work very well because one of the pictures of the Native Americans behind her shattered and fell on the ground when that happened. And then she said that my cousin started crying upstairs. And then she said that she heard the man's voice again. Like, it was like, be quiet. And so she like runs upstairs thinking, oh my God, it's gonna mess with her, something's gonna happen. So she's like running upstairs, and like something grabbed her by her foot and then pulled her, and she fell like downstairs. She like got up to my cousin, and then she had her, and then she was like trying to make sure she was okay. And then she said she saw something like open the door, because there was like another room, like caddy corner across from the way. And then she said that she saw something like open the door, and then this kind of arm like came around like the corner and just grabbed onto the edge of the door. But it was strange. And she said that like the hand though looked like it was just real evil, like almost like a monster, something that was like not human, like not some ghost, not like, it was like something different, like something evil. Yeah. So she said she grabbed like my cousin, and then she like just got into the car and she left. And after that, it was real hard to get her to go back over there. And even like later, because that was before I was born. So after I was born and I would go with her, she was still always like, let's leave, we gotta get out of this place, oh my God, we need to leave. And yeah, she hated it. To me, I always get like a very like sad feeling when I'm there. First there is like not happy, and it can be angry at times, like, but I don't think it's ever hurt anybody from what I've heard or know. But do I personally believe in them? Yes, because I've literally seen stuff and heard things. And yeah, it's hard to believe that there's not something else out there, like, that's bigger than us. I think that my mom dabbled in a lot of stuff, and I think that she brought it into me and my brother's lives, and I'm hypersensitive to it all the time. If I go into a building or like to a home or something like that, I feel it. Like, you can feel out like a place, and I'll be with like someone else and I'm like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. I'm like, no, but it's like this heaviness like on your chest, and like you just kind of, you feel it, like, and it's weird. Like, you don't feel alone. One of my favorite things about the house in general is as you drive down the street. Okay, so everywhere else is just like a neighborhood area, like just little shops and stuff like that, and you got some real pretty woods and parks that I used to go to all the time. And then when you turn into Briar Bayou, you're like driving down this cul-de-sac, and it is like the longest cul-de-sac in history. You're just down there forever. Hello, I'm getting there. And of course, they're the last house at the end. When you drive down there, you go and you take a right, and you're just driving down, and then you take this left turn and then another sharp turn. And then you go down to another left. And then when you hit the left, it's really strange. The road splits into two ways around this one tree that's just there. I don't know why. And then it just goes straight, and then there's the house. And there's houses along the whole way. But it's really strange too, because it's one of the only two-story houses on the whole place. The house just looks like it doesn't belong. It's just like this huge, like, I don't know, like almost like a little evil palace. Like, you go up there, and there's this big black gate, and then there's big trees, huge trees. They're massive, and this massive moss, and it's beautiful, and it hangs from the trees, and it's just real pretty. And you just go through, and yeah, it's hard to see the sky because there's so many trees there. It's just hovering over this whole place. And it's that way as you go down the whole street. Like, there's lots of trees. And so you go there, and the house is like right there in the front, and you go off into, if you're like standing in front of the house directly, you go over to the left-hand side, and then there's like the little backyard area. So you go in there, and you can look around, and they have like the little play areas. They have like swing set and everything. And for some weird reason, my cousin had this obsession with dolls, obviously from her room. And they had this life-size dollhouse that you could go in. My aunt and uncle had money. So like, they had this dollhouse that was for like children. And I was always like, I want to go in there. This is creepy. And my cousins was like, come on, let's play. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, The place is creepy. And then you keep going like past their stuff, and you go through a gate, and you go out that gate, and then there's more land. And when you go inside, the ground was like, I don't even know what it was. I don't think it was wood, but it was like the color of wood. But they were like these stones, and they were like all on the ground as soon as you walk in. And then the carpet on the staircase was this royal blue. You look to like the left, and this huge living room, really large. And they have this big black grand piano. It's real pretty. And you like look up, and there's just, I don't know how high that the ceilings were. I know that they could get us like a 10-foot Christmas tree and have no problem. Like, no problem. Another thing about this house that has to do with me personally is that every time that I have a nightmare or like a bad dream or something that is bad that has happened or something like that, I've even had some really creepy dreams like about the house, like where really crazy stuff has happened. But they've all happened there. Like almost like still to this day, when I have bad dreams, it's in the house. Something is there. And usually the grand piano is included somehow.